Hey, what's up guys? How's it going? My name is Bob VARO and I'm here at VARO Productions studio in Amsterdam, and today I'm going to talk about mixing piano. So I do have Studio One loaded up here, and as you can see, this is the plugin that I'll be using today for my pianos. This is a completely free plugin that you can download too, and it is called Labs from Spitfire Audio. I'll pull it up right here so you can have a quick look. Basically, Labs is a completely free plugin from Spitfire Audio with a ton of instruments. It's incredible. You can just navigate through all the different packs. Bunch of MIDI packs, and if you're looking for a specific sound, you can obviously download that right away. But if you're not certain, if you want to get inspired, but maybe because you see some of these packs are quite heavy, you see 2.36 gigabytes, and if you do have limited space, I can highly recommend maybe looking up a YouTube video and double check if this is something that you might use, might not use, and then eventually you can download it. But if you don't like it, you can obviously still uninstall it. So before we jump into the video, quickly wanted to mention, if you don't mind, please feel free to hit the thumbs up, hit subscribe. Will really help me reach more people and share my passion for music production. So alright, let's jump right into the video. So I do have my plugin here, and I do have some MIDI loaded up here already. As you can see down here, some pretty basic chords. Again, if you don't know how to work with MIDI, there are also a bunch of different packs online that you can download with pre-programmed MIDI, or you can just mess around with the keyboard, which is obviously always, I personally think, a little bit more fun. And alright, let's jump into mixing this piano and making a really cool sound. So first of all, when it comes to piano, this one sounds pretty good right off the bat, and I'll let you have a listen first. Alright, so this sounds pretty good already. So I'm gonna put a EQ on there to begin with, and as with most instruments, I think some of the most important things that you can do is roll off some low end, and in certain occasions also rolling off some high end. So you just want to make sure that everything sits nice and clean in the mix. If you want to take out some boxiness somewhere between 300 and 600, you can take that down a little bit, this area. This will really help you determine the warmth of the piano. And if you have a piano that is a little bit harder sounding, you will also have more high frequencies, and then really playing around with your frequencies here, let's say boosting somewhere up over 6K will really help the presence. And then here, let's say around somewhere around 2-3K. Some presence, we're not going to push that too much. Also with this piano, as there are not a lot of frequencies present there, this won't really do much, but it will still do something. But you'll see further in the mix where that will come to shine, because we'll still use some other kind of EQ to bring out some more flavor. All right, and then the next step that I would highly recommend is to use some compression, and we'll use this one. If you're not sure on how to use a compressor, you can obviously choose a preset, but I would highly recommend to mess around with all the parameters yourselves to really see what it's doing. Just going to make sure to start with that we have enough input to make sure that the meter starts working, and it will start taking out some volume. Here basically the ratio, the higher you set your ratio, the more aggressive it will start compressing your audio signal. So with the piano, I'm going to keep it a little bit more gentle. Let's put it on 8 in this case. And what I can also recommend is to match your output to whatever your input is, to make sure that whenever you put it in bypass, you actually hear what the compressor is doing. All right, sounds pretty good. And then the most important thing is that you do have a fast attack and you do have a slow attack. And basically, the faster it sounds, the more aggressive it will start sounding. But if you want it to sound more natural, I would dial that back a little bit and keep it somewhere in the middle, so some of these finger noises will still come through instead of completely squeezing that, okay? All right, and then how I set my release is basically with this really depends on the occasion and the sort of instrument that you're using. But here I do have very long chords and I want the volume to come back up in a more steady and a little bit of a slower way to make sure that the sustain is still there. And again, if you like visuals, you will also be able to see this here on your view meter, because you see if you put it all the way on 1, you have a very slow release, and if we do this more drastically, you can really hear the volume coming back up, okay? You can push this as much as you want. This is deciding on your flavor already a little bit. I'm going to dial back that release button a little bit. And also what I recommend is to have your volume come back up to the normal, to the regular volume before the compressor hits again. All right, this sounds natural. All right, and then once I'm done with that, first of all, before we continue, you can also, and sometimes it really depends on the occasion, but you can also put this compressor first and then use your EQ at the end. But again, this is purely flavor. The more you'll start, because basically your sound will now first come through the compressor, then through the EQ, and so on. So this is really depending on the sound of whatever you like most. If you're doing some crazy stuff on the EQ here first and you're boosting a lot of high end, for example, if it's a piano with a lot of high end information in it, and if you then put a compressor on there, you know, we'll do something differently than if you would put your compressor first. So it will compress the original sound, and then you'll start basically boosting frequencies of your compressed sound. So this is completely up to your flavor and whatever you like. Okay, so then the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to use a plugin from Softtube, and it's called the Dirty Tape, and you'll hear immediately what it does when I put it on there. So first of all, I'll play it without. All right, let me double check here. Right, it's a little bit more of an aggressive ratio here, so sounding pretty good. Then next up, we do have the Dirty Tape. You're hearing This will give some movement to your piano because you can add a little drive and also dirt. This is too much, at least for my taste. Really depends on obviously what you're going for. Going for a more clean sound and increasing the dirt quite a bit, drive quite a bit. I really like this feature here where you can do some low cut on your piano still. I've done this at the beginning already, but it's really enhancing and really making the piano sound really nice. You can use this if you want a more lo-fi sound. You can really turn this all the way up, but then eventually you'll see with other effects how nice this will start sounding. I'll do it moderate now and have it around 100 hertz. Give some extra really nice character to it, which I love very much. And then to finish this off, what I really like too, and you can use this also on pretty much any other instrument, is to use the Soothe 2 plugin. And to be honest, I most of the times just start with a preset because they sound right off the bat really good. And whenever I'm especially creating a sound, I don't want to get too distracted by all the details, so I go with something that cleans up some of this mid-range in the piano. And most of the time, what I would just do is increase depth and see what it sounds like the more I start to increase it. This sounds the most natural to me, all right? This is good to go. Then the next step would be, this is also a completely free plugin that I think every one of you should download if you don't already have it. And it is called Supermassive by Valhalla. Here it is. I'm going to use it as a send. I'm not going to put it on the insert because I want to be able to have this separate from my piano. So if needed, I can still adjust my reverb separately from the actual audio track. Okay. So here, most of the time, because now you can hear a delay, but under reverbs, they have some really nice reverbs here. I'm just going to make sure you see them properly. Okay, here under reverbs, these will just take your instruments to a whole other level. Same on like guitars, and this is a really cool preset, and it's my go-to. You know, like once I really like something, and most of the time I'm like, all right, this sounds good on it. No, it sounds good. This will enhance it. I just go with it. Alright, so now what I'm gonna do is, so this is just very basic, you know, here, and the only thing I would keep in mind whenever you're going with presets is, first of all, just forgot this, but you put it on 100%, so you have maximum flexibility. It's a lot of reverb. You can still dial that back over here. There's your width, your delay, and we'll leave that as it is. This is, alright, set correctly, warp. Then the only thing most important with, I think, with reverbs and delays in general is feedback, but also your EQ. And basically what that means is both all of these different options really make sure that your reverb or delay is not too much in the mix. You want to make sure your low end is cleaned up. You want to make sure that your feedback is not too long so it doesn't spill out in the next chord and it doesn't overlap it too much. And same with your high end, you know, if it's not sitting too much in the way of vocals and whatnot. But again, also depends on the kind of piano or any other instrument that you're working on. And what I'm going to do now, whenever I'm happy with a sound in general, I'll start going in, loop it, start listening through it a couple of times. Now this is a solo track, most of the time even in together with vocals or any other instruments that we have going on. And something that I also like to do with this in particular is that whenever you have your piano, and if you start playing on the lower keys, it will start to sound more in your left ear. The more higher up you go, the more in your right ear. And I love to pan my reverb opposite to where the piano plays. And if we hear now, listen back to the piano, it tends to go a little bit more to the left. So what I would do with my reverb to space it out a bit more is to take that a little bit more to the right. And maybe even to make it bigger. Right, before we jump into mixing, one other thing that I love to do is to take a compressor, also put it as a send, and use this as parallel compression basically. So I'm gonna quickly name it PC for parallel compression, and here is my reverb for the piano too. Give them a nice color. There we go. All right, now we'll start dialing in everything. Just want to double check piano. I love to just put it at 0 here. If you want it to always send the same level, you can here easily turn on or off the pre-fader. Here we do have the compressor. With parallel compression, you can go more drastically on your settings because it will really, because you're basically, parallel compression, you're copying your original sound on a different channel, applying a lot of compression on there to add that to your original, and with that you will also amplify and bring more sustain to your original. Alright, once we have that, we are good to go. And to finish that off, you can also add a buzz if you'd really like that. Piano buzz, call it like this. Give it another color, green for example. And if you still want to put any EQ on there like this, to get rid of that high information, but also again remember to put it on natural phase. Alright, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna select the whole loop, activate it. I'm gonna just start playing through it and start adjusting everything to my liking. And then finally after that we'll obviously make some conclusions. All right, perfect. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a quick comparison between before and after. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play everything through without. Now once the loop starts again, I will enable the plugins. Alright, so that's it for this video. So I really hope you enjoyed this one. If you have any other particular plugins, workflows, or things that you love to use when it comes to piano, adding flavor and whatnot, please feel free to share them in the comment section. If you do have any questions for me, or if you have any suggestions in what you would love to see in any other videos, you're more than welcome to share that with me as well. And yeah, if not, thanks again for watching this video if you stick with me to the end here, and I will see you in the next video. I hope you have a great day. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one.